Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase peace, the more restless you become, the more desperately you seek success, the more distant it seems, the more you crave approval, the more invisible you feel? It almost seems as if life has a strange rule. The tighter you try to hold on to something, the faster it slips through your fingers. Most people believe the answer is to work harder, think faster, and push themselves beyond their limits. They believe that if they can control every detail of their lives, they will finally find happiness. Yet despite all their effort, many end up exhausted, anxious, and emotionally drained. More than 2,000 years ago, the Stoic philosophers discovered a truth that still changes lives today. They understood that peace is not something you find in the outside world. It is something you create within yourself. They realized that the mind, when left undisciplined, becomes its own worst enemy. It invents fears that never happen, worries about problems that do not yet exist, and replays painful memories long after they have passed. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and one of the most powerful rulers in history, reminded himself every day that true strength begins with self-mastery. Even as Emperor of Rome, surrounded by wars, betrayal, and unimaginable responsibility, he knew that the greatest battle was not against his enemies, it was against his own thoughts. That lesson is just as important today as it was then. Every morning, millions of people wake up already carrying invisible burdens. Before they even leave their bed, their minds are racing. What if I fail today? What if people judge me? What if I never become successful? These thoughts quietly shape every decision they make. They steal confidence before the day has even begun. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones every single day. At first, the weight doesn't seem like much, but as weeks turn into months and months into years, each stone begins to wear you down. Your shoulders ache, your back grows tired. Eventually, walking itself becomes exhausting. Now imagine someone asking you a simple question. Why don't you put the backpack down? You hesitate, not because you can't, but because you've forgotten you're carrying it. That backpack is your mind. Every regret you've refused to release, every mistake you've replayed 1,000 times, every fear about the future, every harsh opinion someone once spoke about you, every comparison you've made between your life and someone else's, they all become stones inside that backpack. Eventually, life itself doesn't become heavier, your thoughts do. Epictetus once said that people are disturbed not by events, but by the opinions they have about those events. Think about that for a moment. Two people experience the exact same setback. One loses a job and believes his future is over. He falls into despair, convinced that life has treated him unfairly. Another loses the same job, but sees it differently. He tells himself that perhaps this is an opportunity to discover a better path. He begins learning new skills, meeting new people, and eventually builds a life he never imagined possible. The event was identical. The outcome was completely different. Why? Because reality did not determine their future, their mindset did. Your mind is like a window through which you see the world. If that window is covered with fear, every opportunity looks dangerous. If it is stained with anger, every person appears to be an enemy. If it is clouded by comparison, nothing you accomplish will ever feel enough. But when the window becomes clear, something remarkable happens. You stop reacting emotionally to everything around you. You begin responding with wisdom. You stop chasing every distraction. You stop fighting battles that don't deserve your energy. And for the first time in a long time, you breathe. The Stoics believed that peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the ability to remain steady while facing them. Because storms are unavoidable. Life will disappoint you. People will misunderstand you. Plans will fail. Opportunities will come and go. But your response to those moments will always remain your greatest source of power, because the strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. The strongest person is often the calmest. Think about the ocean. On the surface, The waves crash violently against the shore. They rise, they fall, they roar with incredible force. But dive deep beneath the surface, and everything becomes still. The deeper you go, the greater the peace. The human mind is no different. Most people spend their lives trapped on the surface, reacting to every opinion, every criticism, every inconvenience. A stranger says something negative, and it ruins their entire day. A small mistake happens at work, and they begin questioning their worth. Someone else succeeds, and suddenly they feel as though they have failed. Their emotions become like leaves blown around by the wind. The Stoics refused to live this way. They understood that if your happiness depends on external events, your happiness will always be temporary. Instead, they built something that could not be taken away: inner peace. Imagine someone insults you. What happens next? Most people immediately become angry. Their heart races. Their thoughts become consumed by revenge or self-doubt. But Marcus Aurelius would ask a different question. Does this person's opinion change who I truly am? If the answer is no, why give it power? A rock does not become weaker because the wind blows against it. The sun does not stop shining because clouds appear. Likewise, your character should not depend on the opinions of people who do not truly know you. One of the greatest freedoms in life comes the moment you stop needing everyone to understand you. Not everyone will appreciate your journey. Not everyone will support your dreams. Confidence built on character lasts forever. Seneca once wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Pause for a moment and think about your own life. How many sleepless nights have you spent worrying about something that never happened? How many opportunities did you avoid because you imagined failure before you even tried? Fear is a remarkable storyteller. It paints vivid pictures of disasters that rarely become real. It whispers, "Don't start. You're not ready. You'll embarrass yourself. You'll fail." But wisdom whispers something different. You don't need certainty. You only need courage for the next step. Every successful person has faced uncertainty. Every courageous person has experienced fear. The difference is that they refused to let fear make their decisions. They acted anyway, and each small act of courage made the next one easier. That is how an unshakable mind is built. Not in a single day, not through one dramatic moment, but through hundreds of quiet decisions to remain calm, disciplined, and faithful to your principles, even when life becomes difficult. And little by little, something extraordinary begins to happen. The things you once chased no longer control you. The peace you searched for begins to grow naturally from within. The success you desperately wanted becomes a byproduct of your discipline rather than your obsession. Because when your mind is no longer filled with fear, it finally has room to recognize opportunity. Opportunity has always existed around you. The difference is that an anxious mind cannot see it. Imagine trying to see your reflection in a lake during a violent storm. The water is constantly moving. The image is distorted. No matter how hard you stare, you cannot see clearly. Now imagine the storm passes. The wind becomes still. The surface of the water settles. Suddenly, your reflection appears without effort. Your mind works the same way. When it is overwhelmed by fear, anger, jealousy, or impatience, every decision becomes clouded. But when it becomes quiet, wisdom naturally rises to the surface. This is why the Stoics valued silence. Not because silence is empty, but because silence allows you to hear your own reason. In today's world, silence has become rare. We wake up and immediately check our phones. We scroll through endless opinions. We compare ourselves with strangers. We consume information from morning until night. Yet we wonder why our minds never feel at peace. A distracted mind cannot build a meaningful life. It can only react. The Stoics believed that every day should begin with intention, not distraction. Before allowing the world to speak to you, learn to speak to yourself. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not, what do I want to achieve? Not, how much money can I make? But, will I remain patient? Will I choose wisdom over anger? Will I act with courage even if I feel afraid? These questions shape your character, and character shapes destiny. Many people believe success changes a person. The Stoics believed the opposite. Character creates success. If you become disciplined, success follows. If you become trustworthy, meaningful relationships follow. If you become calm under pressure, opportunities naturally find you. You don't attract better outcomes by wishing for them. You attract them by becoming the kind of person who is prepared to receive them. Think about a gardener. He cannot force a tree to produce fruit overnight. He cannot shout at the seed. He cannot demand faster growth. Instead, he waters the soil. He removes the weeds. He protects the roots. Then he waits, patiently, because he understands that growth is invisible before it becomes visible. Your life follows the same law. Every act of discipline, every moment you choose patience over panic, every time you refuse to let anger control your actions, you are strengthening roots that no one else can see. One day the results appear. People call it luck. They say, you became successful so quickly. But they never saw the quiet mornings, the lonely nights, the difficult choices, the countless moments when you stayed committed even though no one was watching. The Stoics never chased quick rewards. They focused on becoming excellent every single day, because excellence compounds. Small improvements become remarkable transformations. One calm decision today leads to a calmer life tomorrow. One act of courage today creates greater confidence next week. One moment of self-control today builds a stronger character for years to come. Never underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. Mountains are not moved in a single moment. They are shaped by countless drops of water over time. And so are you. Every thought you choose, every habit you repeat, every challenge you face with dignity is quietly shaping the person you will become. So don't rush. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Walk your path, trust your growth, protect your peace. Because when your mind is calm, your decisions become wiser, your relationships become healthier, your work becomes more meaningful, and life begins to feel lighter, not because your problems disappeared, but because you became stronger than them. The greatest victory is not defeating the world, it is mastering yourself. And once you achieve that, very little can disturb your peace.